really special guest from my church, by the way, Baharu Harris, and he's got one of the coolest careers. I wanted to talk to him about not just his current job, but also just what led him here. So, Baharu, welcome.
Thank you, Jerry.
And to explain what you do, basically, if you've ever been to a racetrack, there are these machines you could use to bet on whatever races. And so Baharu, his official title is Associate Product Manager, but when you think product manager, you usually think online stuff, web stuff. He's actually working on the hardware. So he's working on the hardware for the terminals where you place your bets.
That's right. Yeah, there's a lot of facets that go into making a horse race work, and betting funds it all. So I like hardware. I like technology. I like getting my hands dirty. So yeah, I work on the machines that people place their bets on.
What is your day-to-day like?
We have our meetings in the morning where we talk about what's coming next. Basically, we're developing a product that's supposed to update the legacy equipment that's at our racetracks. So racing is very old, and our racetracks are very old. And so the machines that are there are pretty old too. So we are slowly but surely trying to replace all of those. That's what my team does, working on making a modern betting app and betting terminal.
A lot of it is that, and then sometimes, let's say when you need to go to the location, then that involves some travel.
Yeah. So yeah, mainly when I travel for our horse racing, I go to one of our racetracks. So we have a couple in California. We have one in Florida. Right now we have two here in Maryland. But yeah, it's since, like I said, we are growing our product. A lot of times what we're doing is launching a product at a big race event. So we bring in 20 or 50 or 100 terminals, and part of my job when I'm traveling is to teach people how to use the new look, the new machine, the new software. So it's nice to be able to travel to these destination racetracks. It's they're very beautiful, very scenic. You get to meet a lot of people. Ends up being a lot of fun.
I've been to racetracks. In fact, I think I've been to one of the ones that you guys work on, but I don't bet, I don't gamble, so I've never used those machines before. But I know what the energy's like, what the atmosphere is like. It's exhilarating. I know. So I know this pastime in America is like bigger than people think. People think it's old fashioned, but man, go to a racetrack, you're like, wow, it's a lot of people.
Yeah, so there's a lot of energy at racetracks, and even though it's declining in popularity, there's still a good amount of people, and it's new for me because this is a pretty niche industry. So I've only been at this company almost 2 years, so not even 2 years. But yeah, to see that on a Thursday afternoon, there's plenty of people at the races, just kind of relaxing, enjoying themselves. But then you see the big race days where there's a lot of energy, a lot of people, older people, younger people. Yeah, it ends up being a lot of fun.
How many machines are there usually at the different locations?
Usually there'll probably be somewhere between at least 50 for smaller racetracks, but probably upwards of close to 200 at least for the bigger racetracks. It's they end up being very sprawling racetracks. So if you get a lot of people, you want opportunities for them to be able to place their bets from basically wherever they are. So we put up a lot of machines in the hundreds.
It's not just one betting area, right? You want them ease of access. So you have to actually strategically place them in different parts. That's so interesting.
Yeah. And then, people would frankly be annoyed if they're sitting in their seat or they just got food and somewhere in between, they want to be able to very easily go and place their bets. That's a lot of the fun that people have when they come to the tracks. So if they were having to find their seat and then get up and take a long walk to go do their thing, they're not going to have as much.
Yeah.
Um,
This is why I love talking to people, because you learn about some of the things behind the scenes of whatever industry that you never thought about unless you really sit down and think about, okay, like, how do we make it work? What's something else that, let's say, people don't really think about in a racetrack setting or in a sports betting setting that you guys have to think about all the time?
So one thing I think about is like the judges at the racetrack. So usually for a track, if they're if they're running races during the warmer months or whatever, they might have 4 race days a week or something, and maybe 10 races for each of those days. For each race, there's several judges officiating them from way up above, basically in the box seats or above the box seats, and they're keeping track of everything, making sure the horses are where they need to be, making sure betting is closed when the races start, and they watch the film right after the race finishes, make sure there's no fouls and things like that, and they certify the results. So that's one thing I found interesting to see the judges work. It's a kind of hectic right before race time, right before the race start. There's also the technical side of things, which my company takes care of more. It's one thing to collect bets, but there's a lot of calculations and stuff that goes into what are the odds, what are the payouts, how quickly can we pay people out. So there's a lot of things going on. As soon as the race finishes, making sure that all our data is correct, all the money is moving in the right place. And that's getting into the stuff that I don't even know. It's a lot of technical, high-level stuff. So I have a lot of admiration for the people at the racetrack. They're very smart people working behind the scenes to make everything look smooth and make everything work just the way we see it.
How does one even stumble on a job like this? Like, did you seek out this job? Did they seek out you? How was the interview process like?
Yeah, I can definitely say I did not seek out this job. I was so before this, I was working as an IT technician, so for a federal contractor. Basically, I was getting people the hardware they needed, signing them into their accounts, and keeping our office systems online. And then I randomly got a message from a recruiter on LinkedIn. Talking about this job, and I saw that the title was product manager. I'm like, I basically didn't believe it, because I didn't think they would want a product manager from a guy who's just help desk IT. But I think one of the things that helped was it's a kind of niche industry, and so people generally don't they don't seek it out. And there's only a few companies in America that really run races and do this type of thing. So I think it was just kind of luck in God's providence. I just this company stumbled across me. The interview process was pretty casual, to be honest. My first interview, after talking to the recruiter, was just with my manager that I work with now, and it's funny. He barely asked me questions. More he was talking about the company and the role and what he wanted from this position, basically. And I don't know what they saw in me, but I know they wanted somebody who was willing to learn, somebody who's willing to do a new thing, go into this kind of niche, weird industry. And I'm not one to plan ahead very far in advance. So that was okay for me, to make a kind of a career change and take a risk like that. It's been working out so far. I like the job. And so, yeah, I can say I enjoy it.
Do you remember the first day?
I probably went into the office twice the first week. So I think it was kind of slow getting into it. Just I remember they were kind of showing me like their file systems and where they keep all their documents, and showing me models of the machines that we sell, and also the legacy equipment. So kind of showing me where the hardware team had been and where we're trying to go and things. So that was the first week. And then they did make sure to take me to one of our racetracks, the Laurel Park, Laurel, Maryland. And that was my first week on the job was my first time at a racetrack. So that was a lot of fun. That was very interesting. I got a full tour, got to see the judges like I talked about, got to go all the way upstairs, all the way downstairs, got to see everything. So that was very interesting.
It's interesting that you had not seen a racetrack before then. So that means that growing up, you probably didn't picture yourself doing this line of work.
No, yeah, definitely not. I mean, I still like, it's still weird to me even that, it's like, how did I get into this? I don't know. It just came across my plate and I said, sure, I'll take some of that. And I think, one thing that is true is that horse racing has deep roots in Maryland, and Baltimore and Pimlico and things. And so, I mean, if I was living in Virginia, I might not have gotten this job, or maybe even Pennsylvania, things like that. But it worked out how it worked out, and I get to see really this sport that's a decent chunk of Maryland's history, and that's been pretty cool.
Definitely. What did you go to college for?
Sure. So I studied business administration. I originally started studying electrical engineering. That was I wasn't cut out for those classes. So, but still, I like technology and stuff. So even though I was doing business administration, I sought out IT certifications, and that's how I got my IT job, a couple of years ago. And that was that's still what I like to do. I like to work with technology. So yeah, that's probably going to be where I see myself, going into the future, but, clearly I know myself, I'm not a programmer. I'm not, I certainly don't write software, but hopefully I can, connect the software and the hardware in a product manager role, kind of get a little bit of the best of both worlds.
What is a business administration type of major? What exactly is it? Like, I've heard about it, but you're actually probably the first person I've ever met that's done a business administration type of major in college.
Yeah, I mean, it covers a lot of different things. So like, I had to take, economics classes and, writing classes and law, like business law classes. So it's kind of, it gives you a breadth of knowledge. It's not super, obviously it's not super specific, the term business is certainly not specific. So, it worked out. I just, I'm not, a huge lover of school. So like I wasn't, so when it came to like engineering and stuff, like, I had to really get your head into the books and you had to love math and things like that. Well, yeah, the business courses wasn't quite like that. So I would say it gives you a broad range of knowledge. And very little of it is super specific. But yeah, I mean, that's why I went and did the IT certifications and that sort of thing. I'm seeing that, the learning that we do outside of school is becoming very important, especially with, the changes in technology. We need to know what's going on in the technical world more than I need to know, really how to run a business, at least at this point in my career.
It sounded like what the business administration type of career path the major did for you was that it gave you a good overview to be like, okay, what do I need? Where should I explore more? And so it seemed like it was a good thing. It was a good major you did in college.
I agree. Yeah, it's helpful. And it's good. It gave me freedom too, to not be, kind of pigeonholed into one specific type of career. Like I can take that anywhere, that type of knowledge. It was good for me.
In college, I studied a major called PPE, philosophy, politics, economics. It's the same thing. It's like, I just wanted to get educated. I just want to learn stuff that maybe I wouldn't have learned if I weren't in college. So I think from that aspect, I succeeded. And it's the same thing. It's like I didn't want to get pigeonholed either, even though it's like they're like people would be like, that's kind of a humanities type thing. I'm like, yeah, but there's the economics part, right? There's some
Right.
math, some science to it.
I like that. I like that. I like that it has the philosophy in there. I think that's a good thing to learn, and not something everybody gets to learn. So I like that philosophy, economics. I like that breadth.
Funny thing, also, a lot of the philosophy you do learn, especially the political philosophy that you realize a lot of America is based on, where does it ultimately derive? This is kind of a tangent, but it's like, oh, why do we have these natural rights? Why do we have it? Comes from God, right? So like it's really interesting. You read John Locke and stuff, our Constitution, a lot of it's based on Locke. You're like, oh, but like he mentions God. It's so like that actually opens up a whole new thing for you. It's like, oh, so like you could go from here and maybe explore religion more, but that's another tangent for another time.
It's funny how, if you really look at the world and really look at where things came from, it points you back to it does point you back to God. The more you learn, you realize, oh, okay, I'm learning more about God as I'm doing this.
Exactly. So when you decided to get the IT certifications, was it the CompTIA?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
So you've been through that. Okay.
Yeah. I think I got 2 CompTIA certs and then one other cert. I forget at this point, but yeah. Yeah, and those were actually. I thought it would be kind of silly or elementary, but no, it was actually like a lot of good information.
I had a friend who studied. He was like, when he was in Maryland, now he's in LA, but I met him when he was here in Maryland going to school. And after graduating, he was also like, I think he also got 2 CompTIA certifications. He's also like, I got to study for my CompTIA. I got to study for my CompTIA. So it's very funny that he took maybe a similar path to you.
IT is it's a good career to get into. There's not a single company nowadays that doesn't need pretty dedicated IT. Some people try to like outsource it and have a third party company do it, and you can if you're a smaller company. But it's good to have people in house that really know how your company systems work. So at our company, our IT guys they're on call 24 hours a day. They end up being really important because if something goes down, we need to back up as soon as possible. And it's just how the world works these days.
When you started that first IT job, was it a busy IT job? What type of IT was it?
The company I work for, it's funny. I was doing IT for a company that does IT. So they're a federal contractor, and they work with mostly Department of Defense clients. What they basically do is if a client needs to hire IT people, they come to us, and we get them those contractors. A little bit of a middleman, kind of getting these federal organizations the employees they need, but the in-house part of the company was smaller than the contractors that we sent out to the different federal clients. So I was working in-house. I was not like at one of our clients and things. I was just working at our Virginia office. So I was taking care of the salespeople, the people who write the contracts, the C-suite and things like that. Only once in a while did I talk to one of the contractors that we hire to make sure their accounts are working and things like that. But it was nice because I got to see, I got to sit in meetings with the C-suite people and hear how they get business and how they deal with things. So I was a small fish in the pond, but the pond was small enough that I got to hear everybody else, and I feel like I learned a lot. You're in these sort of roles, we're always learning technical things, but it was good for me to learn the business side of things too. So it's helpful.
So interesting. It's something you don't think about when you think IT, because when you think IT, you think, okay, fix the computer, fix the hardware, fix whatever. Oh my God, my computer's broken. But yeah, there's the business side of things, right? When I talk to Pastor Mark of our church, the same thing. He's like, dude, in a church, there's a business side of things too. So it's like, it's all these things you don't think about, but you got to see that when you did your first IT job. That's so cool.
Yeah, you get to see a little bit of everything. You got to know how everybody's job works, at least a little bit, right? To be able to do what you need to do.
The other funny thing, and probably you noticed me smiling when you were talking about how you were doing the IT for the IT company, it's like it goes back to that thing of, okay, well, machines are going to replace humans, but who's going to fix the machines? Oh, machines can fix machines, but who's going to fix those machines? Eventually, the human has to, like, ultimately, it like can iterate, but there's still going to be some people doing the thing, right? So, like, I was laughing at that. I was like, never thought about it, but yeah, an IT company needs IT too.
I joke with my friends that, we're going to be telling our kids to be, computer scientists because there's not going to be many other lucrative jobs, so I hope that's not true. But, it is funny how much we rely on things like ChatGPT and stuff like that. Nowadays, the people I work with, they use, AI daily, basically.
Talking about AI, I'm wondering, has betting on the races changed because of AI too?
I'm sure there's people out there who are trying. When you think about, like, okay, can somebody make money betting on the horses? The truth is yes, and it's probably similar to regular sports betting, where there's some people who, if you spend enough time doing your research, you can make some money. With the horses, I don't really know, because there's so many things that could happen once the gates open. It becomes a little bit unpredictable, and that's the whole point. If it was predictable, there wouldn't be a game. But I'm sure people are trying, but I can only imagine that it's pretty challenging. And I think that's why we're still in business, because nobody solved it and nobody really can. Thankfully, it's pretty hard to cheat, in this, unless you're, I don't know, using performance enhancing drugs on your horses, which is very illegal. So,
have people try to cheat the machines or anything like that? Is there any type of, like, how would that even work?
I'm trying to think about how that would work. I haven't heard about that. It would be pretty hard. The way the system works, and this is different than regular sports betting, at least how we interact with it. When you bet on horse racing, it's called pari-mutuel betting. And what that basically means is you're wagering with the other people who are wagering, right? So when you bet on like football or basketball, you're betting against the sports book and whoever put the odds out, put the lines out. When you're betting on horses, you're not betting against the house, you're betting against other people. So it's the odds changed based on how, directly based on how people bet. So if there's 3 horses running and half the people betting have their money on horse 1, but you put your money on horse 3 is going to pay out more than horse 1 would if horse 3 wins, right? And it's directly tied to how much money people are putting on different horses. So I mean, it's yeah, I mean, when I hear about like cheating and like sports betting, it's usually like a basketball player purposely does bad so that their buddy can make some money betting on them. Horse racing, you really can't do that. I mean, if you have a hand in training the horses, you can't also bet. And, it'd be really, really silly to purposely do bad, and you can't make money off the losers like you can in other sports.
That makes a lot of sense. Like, in a lot of sports betting, there's so many angles you could bet from, right? You could bet someone's going to lose. You could bet someone does a specific thing in a specific ground. Like, there's so many ways to make money. Right. But I guess what I'm learning from you is that in this type of horse betting, it's like, okay, you win with the horse you bet on, you win. There's no other like things you could do.
Yeah, you can't win on the negative. You can't win, okay, this horse finishes over this amount of time. Like, I've never seen like a bet like that. What you have to do is you have to pick the best horses. And there's huge incentives for the horses and their trainers and their jockeys to get first and second and third. You basically don't get paid if you get last. And you'd much rather get first than second, and you much rather get second than third. So the payouts work that, you know that the people who are putting their horses forward, putting these, very expensive horses forward, they want to win. So that's important to the game.
Are most of these jockeys like that's their full-time thing, or is they have other careers too?
There's plenty of jockeys, so I'm sure that at least like the lower half of jockeys, or the lower half of earning jockeys, they probably going to need something else to supplement their horse riding. if you're a top jockey, obviously, the big trainers want to work with you and stuff. So you'll get paid. And if if you look at the races enough, you see the same names over and over again for the jockeys. Even throughout a single race day, jockeys will be on 3 or 4 different horses, throughout the day. So, but I do hear that it can kind of be a struggle for jockeys. Sometimes, ends up being, a lot of racetracks in the country, in the world, and there's a lot of races and a lot of horses. And not everybody gets paid out. You can't make money that way if all the horses are making a lot of money. And so I hear sometimes it can be tough. It can be like $100 to $150 a day for a jockey. That's on the lower end. But that would be and it's kind of a struggle because the days are long. It's not going to be a normal 9 to 5, 8-hour day, and it's very physically draining. It's a lot, and there's a lot of training that goes into it. Physically, you have to maintain your weight. You get weighed after each race. So there's just like fighting sports. It's a very narrow window that you have to be in. You can't be over a certain weight. You can't be under a certain weight. So it's not just to the over. You have to be within a certain weight. So it's something pretty small, something like 130 to 140 pounds, depending on the type of race. So you see the jockeys, they're pretty small guys, guys and girls. But yeah, they do a lot of work and they don't always get paid the best. But they do love the horses, and you have to love the work. No matter where you are, if you're working with the horses, you really have to love the horses because there's no guarantee that you're actually going to profit off of what you're doing.
For the times when you have to go on site to, let's say, install or update machinery, terminals and stuff, are those the days where you also have to work like 10 hours, 12 hours? Is it pretty simple, pretty easy?
When I'm on location, that will probably be 10-hour, probably a 10-hour plus day. And that's okay because, that's going to be one of our bigger race days. So one of our bigger race weekends. So, that's okay. We make, those days are important because they fund the rest of the year. Right. So, that's how it goes. But, it's always worth it to see a good launch, see the new features or the new design really work out and see people interact with it, and even to see the problems with it, to go back home and say, okay, this is what we need to fix. So yeah, I'm sure just like any other job, there's longer days sometimes, but always worth it.
So it seems like a lot of these racetracks and stuff, they're probably on maybe like a subscription model. It's like, so they like subscribe to have these machines, or is it like one-time purchase type of model?
It depends on the type of client. So with our betting terminals, as far as if our machines are going to be at a racetrack, it's probably a racetrack we own just because of the type of company it is. There's a couple other companies that make machines like we do, specifically for horse racing. Sometimes they own racetracks as well, sometimes they don't. So we're one of the companies that we own racetracks and we make the machines that we put on the racetracks, which is nice. There's also something called OTBs, or off-track betting. So these are like kind of like parlors or just locations where you can bet on the horses, but there's no racing at that location. So with those types of places, we'll sell them our machines, and they can do what they want with them, and we have less oversight over those, and that's how it will work. So most of our machines are at racetracks that we own, but we also sell to other third parties too.
It reminds me, I think this is the right term. It's called vertical integration, right? So it's like you own the racetrack, you own the machines. I think this or maybe I'm using the wrong word, I don't know, but this term came from, like, let's say a car company, like Chinese electric car companies are really good at that. They'll own the factories, but they'll also own the raw materials, and they'll own the car, they'll own everything. They're like vertical. So
Right.
it's pretty cool that like in your industry, there's that too.
Yeah, and I mean, it ends up being so niche that like there's only so many of these other companies that you can work with. So if you do it yourself, that's probably going to be the best way to do it. But yeah, it also just kind of happened that way. I mean, I think the company that runs the Kentucky Derby, I think I don't know if they make their own machines, but they have their own app where you bet on and things like that. But yeah, the part of the company, I work for part of a much larger company, right? So they do different things. They own real estate, and they operate like commercial real estate and retail real estate and stuff. But the owners, they were also big into horses, so they started buying horse racetracks, and then they eventually bought the company I work for. So it kind of just adds up over time.
Yeah, exactly. That makes a lot of sense. So what do you usually do when you're not working?
When I'm not working, what do I do? Oh man, I mean, I try to read sometimes, even though it feels like a chore, but I can read things about scripture, or read scripture itself. Beyond good habits like reading, there's like video games and stuff too. I like to waste my time playing like Civilization and things like that. But yeah, I mean, I don't do too much, I'm a little bit boring, but yeah, I mean, I like peace and quiet, so I'm not out doing this and that, and I have quiet weekends, rather than going out and filling in my time with all of my different hobbies. But yeah.
If you ever want to teach me how to play Civilization, I would love to, because yeah, it's a game I've always wanted to pick up. I'm a real-time strategy guy, so I played Age of Empires a lot, but Civilization, the turn-based stuff is really cool too. And the song from it, right? Baba ye tu ye tu ye. Like we sang that in my high school choir. So it's like I've never been able to play the game where the song came from. Is the one you play with that song that I mentioned?
You know what? I don't think so. I don't actually recognize. Well, okay, I don't actually know. There's I guess I've only played Civilization 6. I've was first introduced to it with Civilization 5, but I just watched somebody play it basically. So I don't know. It's just the game is so old at this point. I don't know. I haven't played the other one.
I dated myself because I think Baba Yetu came from either Civilization 3 or 4. I believe it's from 4. Yeah. So it was right before you started playing it. Yes. Right. So I'm like, this guy's a few years older than Baharu.
Yeah. My manager, he loves Age of Empire. So he's big into that. So, I mean, yeah, I think I just stumbled across this game because I think the Epic Games launcher gives out free games every once in a while. And one of them was Civilization 6 a couple years ago. So I was like, okay, sure. I liked it enough that I bought, the extra add-ons and stuff. So it was free, but I ended up paying for it. So that, they got their money's worth out of me. But yeah, it's a fun game. It takes a lot of time. That's the thing. It's for sure a time drain. So
yeah,
that's the problem.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Really, I have no idea. And I mentioned it earlier, but I'm just not one to plan too far into the future, and I really don't know why. I've kind of always been that way. But I like to save money and do things that help me in the long term. Eating right, exercising, things like that. But one thing I don't do is sit down and say, okay, I want to be here in my career in a few years. And then I want to do this, or I want to purchase this thing, or do that. I don't look ahead, and I've said it, to other people before who have asked. I don't have a 5-year plan. I take it one day at a time, and to be honest, even with this company, horse racing only makes so much money, and I'm kind of still a new hire. And so if my company downsizes, I might be on the chopping block, and that could give other people some nervousness. But for me, I'm like, that's okay. I can move on, find something else, learn a new skill, and build myself back up. So maybe I should plan ahead a little bit more. But I think the Bible also talks about how don't say, okay, tomorrow we're going to do this thing and that thing, because we don't know what tomorrow holds. I think James says that, I think thankfully God just kind of instilled that in me, where I don't have enough fear of the future to to make lay out plans like that. I know that might make other people nervous, but for me, that's where I'm most comfortable.
I wanted to support how you approach life, because I think 2023, when I met you, when I first started coming back to DC, and I was part of the reason was because I had like a plan. I was like, okay, I'm in LA. My YouTube channel was doing very, very well. And I was like, okay, what's next? And then it just didn't work out that way, because, I was having head tension. I don't know if I ever told you this, but I was having head, and I couldn't pinpoint what was going on, but head tension was so much that sometimes it make me like want to faint. It's really bad. So like everything got derailed. But the thing is, once I realized things were getting derailed, I was like, well, let's take it a day at a time. Let's see what we can do. And then I learned how to play chess. I found other things that I would have never done if I was like, I'm sticking to this, I have to do this. Right. And so there's some flexibility. And then again, you and I are people of faith. And sometimes it's like, maybe there's a better path for you that someone's laying out for those of us who have faith. And so sometimes you just got to listen. And so I think you and I definitely think the same on that. It's like, yes, try to build long-term habits and build little things that will help you no matter what. But don't be like, okay, I see myself here, and then if I don't get here in a year, I'm like, what? I gotta sit down and like examine my,
Right. I mean, we can put a lot of stress on ourselves, and I think I see it amongst my friends and my peers. They say, okay, well, I'm going to graduate and I'm going to do this thing, and then a couple years of that, I'm going to move on and be promoted to this thing, and then how do you feel when it doesn't work out, right? Because the unexpected is inevitable, right? So we should never sit back and just let things come to us. We should always be working, but always be waiting on God's timing instead of making timing ourselves.
You and I both experienced this in college too, because you went in as an electrical engineer, and then you're like, oh, okay, this is not my path. I mean, I think you're an immigrant too, but a lot of us immigrants, we buy into this thing. You get in college and all your problems are solved, right? And then it's like, oh, you get into college and that's the start of your problems, because it's like, oh, college didn't solve anything. It just opened it up for you to be lost even more. So it's like, you got to figure it out.
Yeah.
And so it was definitely one of those things. Like I got into college, and it's like the whole process, the whole finish line was supposed to be getting into college. And then you get into college, it's like, oh, it's the start of a way bigger race. Talking about racetracks, start of an even bigger race.
Yep. Totally agree. I mean, yeah, you have the whole world at your fingertips in college. And so like, yeah, I mean, it seems like everybody, they go into school and they say, okay, I'm going to major in this. And then, I see very few of them actually end up in that spot, and that's okay. That's how things work. But yeah, I think it's unhealthy to say, this is what I'm going to do and I'm not going to change. We have to be ready for anything.
I think this is a good stopping point for the talk. Again, always enjoy talking to you at church, and your career path is just so cool. And for anyone that wanted or even didn't even know about this type of field of work, now you guys know a little bit more. So if you guys have any questions for Baharu, maybe we'll revisit, do another interview in 2 years or something like that. We can answer more questions and then see where Baharu is in 2 years. So I guess actually last question. You're Ethiopian. What was growing up Ethiopian like? Was it like your parents were like, study, or was it like very chill? Because I know you went to magnet school. Is it like, tell me about that?
Yeah, my mom was born in Ethiopia. She moved here to the States as a high schooler. And then her and my dad met, a decade plus later. Yeah, I mean, I always did good in school, and my mom made sure of it. You know, it was you know, she helped me and my sister to study and made sure that, you know, we knew the standard was good grades. You know, and that was good for me because you know, sometimes I struggle to find motivation, especially as a kid. You know, I needed that push. So that was good for me. My dad let her take care of that, and he was more, you know, he wasn't the one to say, you know, why aren't your grades up, you know, but he supported her in that, and you know, I'm glad she pushed me in that way. I think the part I appreciate about being Ethiopian the most is the family ties. So my mom is one of six, and we're all in the DC area. So they all, you know, moved over from Ethiopia over time, and but they all stuck together and stayed near each other, and that was very important. So we ended up seeing each other quite often. In fact, they all lived in the same house. All six of those siblings and my grandmother, they all lived in the house that my grandmother still lives in today. So those family bonds are really nice to have. One, that large family. It's a great support system. You end up having a lot of built-in friends, but then just having that love there, you know, I feel bad for some of my, you know, frankly, you know, American friends from the Western culture who, you know, they love their family, but they don't have those deep, strong connections. And unfortunately, the family could be spread out here and there. So I think the family values, that was the big thing that I really do appreciate about being Ethiopian, being from that different culture.
That is really awesome. And for anyone watching, I think this is just a good thing to remind yourself. I always talk about community, right? It's just because I'm an only child. So, of course, I value community. But yeah, if you have family, value that a lot, man. It really gets you far. So, like, people need people in their lives. That's the lesson in this, no matter what, especially in this current day and age. Everyone's talking about AI, all this stuff. Oh, my God, Gen Z. But at the end of the day, everyone's going to figure out, like, community. That's like half the battle and half the solution.
I agree. I think, you know, we've become more and more lonely. We entertain ourselves by ourselves, and we used to not be able to really do that. We used to have to go outside and talk to people, and you know, I think that's really good for us to remember.
Full circle. As people in society realize the importance of community, things like racetracks, I love chess clubs, things like that, the malls, these places where people can gather, third spaces, they're going to jump up in popularity again. So I think there's a bright future for what you do.
I agree. And for most race days, admission is free. So you just walk inside. You don't have to pay a dime to go and see a full day of horse races, unless there's a big event going on. So yeah, I mean, it's nice to see, you know, people getting together, you know, instead of sitting at home and watching these things on TV.
The time I stumbled on my first horse race when I was in LA, it was like that. It was free admission. So I just went in and I was like, oh, this is cool. Right. So exactly. I agree. The free thing, getting people in there, maybe they'll at least buy food if they don't gamble, but if they want to bet on something, you know, they can do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a good time. And that's one of the things that really was eye-opening to me. It's like racetracks are a nice time, you know. If you want to go with friends, you could just hang out, you know, walk around, enjoy the day.
My analogy for racetracks is I used to never understand baseball until I went to a baseball game. It was exactly that. It's just I hung out there. I didn't really watch the game. I mean, the game actually, once you understand, it's kind of fun too. But I was just like, why do Americans love baseball? Because it's a cool place to hang out.
Right. If you go to a baseball game and you're watching every pitch, it's like, okay, you can do that. But the people who are having a lot of fun, they're just hanging out. Yeah. Agreed.
Exactly. So, guys, this was Baharu Harris.